What if the history we've been taught is incomplete? What if human civilization didn't begin with the first farmers of Mesopotamia or the pyramid builders of Egypt, but thousands of years earlier, in a world now lost beneath the ocean waves? It's a question that feels like stepping into a dream, as though humanity's true story contains a missing chapter, sealed away under water and forgotten by time. Across every continent separated by vast oceans and thousands of miles, ancient cultures preserved remarkably similar stories. They speak of a catastrophic flood that destroyed the world. The Hebrew scriptures tell of Noah, chosen to build an ark and preserve life as waters consumed the earth. In ancient Mesopotamia, clay tablets buried for millennia describe Atrahasis, warned by divine beings to construct a vessel before the deluge arrived. India's sacred Vedic texts recount how Manu received guidance from a mystical fish to survive when the seas overwhelmed the land. Greek mythology preserved the tale of Deucalion and Pyrrha, who survived in a floating chest until the waters retreated, allowing them to repopulate the world. How remarkable that peoples who never met, who spoke different languages and worshipped different gods, all remembered the same event, a flood so devastating it ended one age and began another. Were these stories born from local experiences, memories of rivers overflowing their banks, or storms that terrified primitive villages? Or do they represent something deeper, fragments of an actual catastrophe, passed down through generations like a scar on humanity's collective memory? Modern geology has revealed something astonishing. Approximately 12,000 years ago, as the last ice age ended, massive glaciers melted and sea levels rose by more than 300 feet. Entire coastlines vanished. Vast plains that once supported rivers, forests, and possibly even cities now rest beneath the ocean's surface. If humans had established communities there, if they had built, created, and thrived in ways we don't yet understand, their achievements would now lie hidden in the silent depths. Imagine for a moment an advanced society existing before the flood. People who studied the stars, constructed monuments in stone, and navigated the seas long before the pharaohs ruled Egypt. Perhaps they had their own myths, their own songs, now silent forever, written in scripts that dissolved when the waters came. The ocean isn't empty. It's an enormous archive holding secrets we've only begun to explore. So we must ask, are these flood narratives merely moral allegories about sin being washed away and life beginning anew? Or are they memories of something real, an ancient catastrophe that erased not just people, but an entire chapter of human civilization? If that's true, then our history books tell only the story of the survivors, while the original builders and dreamers rest forgotten beneath the waves. But who were they? Where did they come from? And what evidence, if any, remains of their existence? Stay with me as we explore their possible origins. If this mystery intrigues you, let the video play through to the end. Leave a comment telling us where in the world you're watching from, and if it resonates with you, subscribe so you can journey with us through the next forgotten chapter of history. Chapter 1: The Climate Catastrophe. To understand this mystery, we must travel back to a time when the Earth itself was unstable. Around 12,800 years ago, the planet experienced what scientists call the Younger Dryas, a sudden return to Ice Age conditions just as the world was beginning to warm. It arrived without warning. One moment, glaciers were retreating and temperatures rising. The next, the Earth plunged back into a deep freeze. Temperatures dropped dramatically. Ice sheets advanced again. Violent storms swept across the land. This cold period lasted more than a millennium, and during that time countless species disappeared. The woolly mammoth and saber-toothed cat were among the last of their kind, leaving only bones as evidence they once walked the earth. For the humans alive during this period, survival became a daily struggle. Archaeologists study this era through layers of sediment, fossilized pollen, and stone tools. To them, the Younger Dryas represents clear evidence of how fragile Earth's climate balance can be. Some scientists propose that massive meltwater floods disrupted ocean currents. Others suggest that a comet or asteroid impact sent shockwaves through the atmosphere. Whatever the cause, it was a rupture, a moment when the old world ended and a new one was forced into existence. Many myths about destruction and renewal may have their roots in this very trauma. As centuries passed, hints of forgotten knowledge began appearing in unexpected places. One of the most intriguing is a delicate piece of parchment known as the Piri Reis map. Created in 1513 by an admiral of the Ottoman Navy, it depicts the coastlines of Europe, Africa, and South America with remarkable accuracy for its time. But what puzzles researchers is the outline at the map's southern edge. It appears to show the coast of Antarctica, not buried under ice as it is today, but drawn as if the land were exposed and accessible. Modern geology tells us Antarctica has been covered by ice for millions of years. Yet some portions of its coastline may have been ice-free more than 10,000 years ago, during a brief warm period when sea levels were rising. How could a 16th century sailor have mapped such a coastline? Piri Reis himself acknowledged that he copied from older charts, some perhaps centuries or even millennia old. If true, the question becomes, who created the original maps, and how far back does their knowledge extend? Were these echoes of ancient mariners whose navigational charts survived in secret until they reached the admiral's hands? In Mesopotamia, long before paper existed, scribes pressed cuneiform symbols into clay tablets that continue to fascinate us today. Among the oldest is the Epic of Atrahasis, describing a catastrophic flood sent by the gods. Unlike later versions, this represents one of humanity's earliest written accounts of disaster, carved into clay thousands of years ago. It demonstrates that even in antiquity, people believed certain memories were so important they needed to be permanently recorded. Such writing suggests that ancient peoples carried memories of catastrophes so profound they feared those memories would be lost unless preserved in the hardest materials available. When we place these pieces together, a disturbing pattern emerges, a sudden climatic catastrophe that shattered ecosystems, a map suggesting knowledge from an era we cannot explain, an ancient text written in humanity's first great script, recalling a flood that erased everything before it. Each piece stands alone, yet together they point toward the same possibility, that an earlier chapter of human history lies hidden in the shadows of the flood. And if these myths and artifacts aren't imagination, but echoes of reality, then one question rises above all others. Who were the people who lived before the waters came? Chapter 2: Impossible Architecture. When the ice retreated and the Younger Dryas finally ended, the world should have been in ruins. Humanity, scattered into small nomadic tribes, was expected to slowly rebuild, planting seeds, hunting game, and gradually learning to thrive again. Yet almost immediately after the climate stabilized, we find something that contradicts every expectation. On a hilltop in what is now southeastern Turkey stands a site called Göbekli Tepe. Archaeologists first uncovered its stones in the 1990s, but its true age shocked the scientific community, 11,600 years old. It was constructed right after the Younger Dryas ended, long before pottery was invented, long before writing existed, and long before the wheel was conceived. Hunter-gatherers carved massive limestone pillars, some taller than a person and weighing more than 10 tons. These weren't crude or accidental. They were shaped with precision and decorated with detailed images of lions, scorpions, vultures, and mysterious abstract symbols. The site is organized in circular arrangements, like sanctuaries made of stone, as if the builders sought to anchor themselves within the cosmos. Scholars struggle to explain how scattered groups of hunter-gatherers could have created such a monumental complex. Excavations reveal the stones were quarried hundreds of meters away and transported uphill, without draft animals, without wheels, without metal tools. The sophistication of the carvings, the precision of the alignments, and the sheer scale of Göbekli Tepe hint at knowledge we don't expect, this early in human history. Some archaeologists call it humanity's first temple. Others see it as evidence that advanced forms of organization and spiritual practice existed long before we imagined possible. Half a world away, in the Pacific Ocean, another enigma rises from the waters. Off the coast of Pohnpei in Micronesia lies Nan Madol, often called the Venice of the Pacific, or the Atlantis of the Pacific. Here, on a coral reef surrounded by ocean, stand more than 90 artificial islets constructed from massive basalt columns. These stones are stacked like logs to form walls, platforms and waterways. The construction spans centuries, but its origins remain shrouded in mystery. Local legends speak of twin sorcerers who used magic to levitate the stones into position. Oral histories tell of powerful kings who ruled from this floating city. The scale is staggering. Some individual stones weigh 50 tons. They were cut and placed with no clear explanation of how they were transported. There are no nearby quarries large enough to have supplied them. No pulleys, no wheels, no cranes existed in that corner of the Pacific when the city was built. Standing among the ruins, one feels the weight, not just of stone, but of unanswered questions. Nan Madol isn't alone. Across the world, megalithic structures remind us that ancient builders could accomplish the seemingly impossible. In Baalbek, Lebanon, stands the Temple of Jupiter, built during Roman times but resting on foundations far older. Among the base are 3 stones known as the trilithon, each weighing approximately 800 tons. Nearby in the quarry lies a single unfinished block estimated at over 1,000 tons. Even with modern machinery, moving such a stone would be an extraordinary feat. How did ancient builders transport and position them with such precision? Engineers debate various possibilities: sledges, ropes, earthen ramps. Yet the question lingers like an echo. Did they inherit techniques from an earlier forgotten age? Occasionally, artifacts surface that deepen the mystery. They're called ooparts, out-of-place artifacts, objects that seem to belong to another time entirely. In Iraq, a small clay jar containing a copper cylinder has been dubbed the Baghdad Battery. Some researchers suggest it could have generated a weak electrical charge, though its true purpose remains debated. In South Africa, strange metallic spheres have been discovered in ancient rock formations, perfectly round with delicate grooves around their circumference. Known as the Klerksdorp spheres, they spark speculation about whether they are natural formations or evidence of long-lost craftsmanship. Even myths themselves sometimes feel like artifacts, fragments of memory preserved in story form and passed down through countless generations. Among the most famous is Plato's account of Atlantis. In his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, written more than 2,000 years ago, he describes a powerful island civilization that existed 9,000 years before his time. Atlantis was said to be wealthy, advanced, and proud, until its people fell into arrogance. The gods punished them, and in a single day and night, the island sank beneath the sea. For centuries, readers have debated whether Plato invented the story as moral allegory, or whether he was relaying fragments of an actual tradition told to him by Egyptian priests who remembered a disaster from the distant past. Taken together, these monuments and myths form a troubling pattern. Göbekli Tepe demonstrates mastery of stonework before agriculture had even taken root. Nan Madol reveals a city of massive basalt blocks on an ocean reef, in a location with no easy means to move them. Baalbek's colossal stones challenge our assumptions about ancient engineering capabilities. Upats raise questions about what knowledge may have been discovered and subsequently lost. And Plato's Atlantis offers a cautionary tale of people destroyed by catastrophe, echoing flood legends from around the globe. What unites them all is mystery. We see the stones, we hold the artifacts, we read the myths, but the hands that shaped them are gone. Conventional history tells us human civilization rose slowly and steadily, from simple beginnings to complex societies. Yet these ruins tell a different story. They suggest moments of brilliance, sudden leaps of capability, hints of knowledge appearing out of place and out of time. And so, late at night, one cannot help but wonder, are these wonders isolated achievements of remarkable people? Or are they surviving footprints of something greater, a civilization that flourished before the flood, leaving only fragments for us to puzzle over? If you're listening and feel a question forming, share it in the comments. Which of these mysteries speaks to you most? The stones of Göbekli Tepe, the island city of Nan Madol, the massive blocks of Baalbek, or the legend of Atlantis? Your thoughts might become the spark for the next story we explore together. Chapter 3: Theories of Destruction. Some ruins appear older than the flood itself. Their weathered stones speak of ages beyond the reach of recorded memory. Could they belong to a forgotten people, whose greatness was silenced not by time alone, but by catastrophe? Civilizations, like living beings, rise and fall. When we consider the possibility of a people before the flood, their disappearance feels less like a gradual fading and more like an abrupt erasure. The question isn't only how they lived, but how they died, and why we remember them only through scattered traces carved into land and legend. One theory looks to the sky. Scientists call it the Younger Dryas Impact Hypothesis. Around 12,800 years ago, just as the Ice Age was loosening its grip, something extraordinary may have struck Earth. Across North America and Europe, researchers have discovered curious traces locked in ancient sediment. Tiny diamonds formed under extreme heat, microscopic spherules of molten rock, and unusual concentrations of platinum. Alongside these sites a thin layer of charcoal, as if massive fires had raged across entire continents. To some researchers, these are the fingerprints of a comet or asteroid fragmenting in the atmosphere, raining fire and devastation upon the planet. If true, such an impact could have ignited forests, melted ice sheets, and plunged Earth back into sudden cold, explaining the Younger Dryas, that 1,000-year return to glacial conditions after the world had begun to thaw. For those who lived through it, the disaster would have felt biblical. Skies darkened, animals vanished, and survivors scattered. A flourishing civilization, however advanced, could have been reduced to memory in a single generation. Others point not to fire from the heavens, but to water from the deep. As the Ice Age ended, glaciers melted and sea level rose by more than 100 meters. Entire regions were swallowed in silence. In Southeast Asia lay Sundaland, a vast subcontinent that once connected modern-day Malaysia, Borneo, Sumatra and Java. Rich in rivers and fertile plains, it could have supported thriving communities. Today, nearly all of it rests beneath the South China Sea. To the north, in Europe, a land called Doggerland stretched between Britain and the European continent. For thousands of years it was home to hunters, fishers and families. Then, as the seas rose, the land shrank year by year until it vanished completely beneath the North Sea. Imagine watching the tide claim your home, not just once but every year, creeping higher and higher until entire villages disappeared. To those who survived, it must have felt like divine wrath, the punishment of the sea. Myths of great floods may be echoes of this drowning, passed down by those who fled to higher ground, carrying with them only memories of what was lost. There's also a darker possibility, whispered among researchers of alternative history. What if the disappearance wasn't only natural, but deliberate? What if survivors of a great civilization were erased not only by disaster, but by the rewriting of memory itself? In every age, victors control the narrative. If a new people rose from the ruins seeking to build their own order, might they not bury the knowledge of those who came before? Might history itself have been edited, leaving only fragments in myth and rumour? The earth itself holds scars of cataclysm. In the valleys of Washington state, geologists once puzzled over strange cliffs and ripples carved into solid rock. For years, no one could explain them. Then the evidence became undeniable. These were the marks of an ancient flood, a deluge so immense it carved canyons in a matter of days. Known as the Missoula floods, they were unleashed when an ice dam burst, releasing water from a glacial lake the size of several modern states. Waves hundreds of feet high thundered across the Columbia Basin, stripping soil, moving boulders like pebbles, and leaving behind a landscape of scars. If such forces shaped only one region of North America, imagine what seas released across the globe might have accomplished. Even ancient texts remember ages before the flood. In Mesopotamia, scribes wrote of the kings before the flood, rulers whose reigns stretched not decades but thousands of years. The Sumerian king list, inscribed in cuneiform, describes dynasties that lasted tens of millennia, until the great waters came and swept everything away. Scholars debate whether these impossibly long reigns were symbolic, or whether they hint at deeper truth. That memory of a lost age lingered in records older than history itself. What makes this silence so haunting is how little remains. Not great cities or clear chronicles, but fragments only. A list of kings carved into clay. Maps hinting at unknown coastlines. Scars cut deep into the land. Ruins drowned beneath the sea. If there was a people before the flood, the forces that destroyed them did their work thoroughly. Fire, ice, rising waters, and perhaps human hands themselves conspired to erase nearly everything. And yet silence isn't nothing. It invites us to listen closer, to ask why so many cultures speak of floods, why geology carries scars of sudden disaster, why memory stretches back further than we expect. If you've stayed with me this far, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Which of these forces feels most convincing to you? Was it fire from the sky, water from the seas, or something darker, a deliberate rewriting of history itself? Share your thoughts in the comments, because your reflections keep this search alive. Chapter 4. The Inheritance. If entire lands were swallowed by the sea, what knowledge, what stories, what truths disappeared with them? If a civilization thrived before the flood, its legacy may not lie in walls we can see, but in the myths and symbols carried forward by later peoples. What survived weren't whole cities, but fragments, woven into culture, religion, and imagination. In Egypt, one of the oldest civilizations we know, the god Osiris was intimately connected to water, death, and rebirth. His myth tells of drowning and dismemberment, followed by resurrection, echoing the rhythm of the Nile itself. Each year the flood destroyed and then nourished, bringing life to the valley. For the Egyptians, this cycle became sacred, and Osiris became the divine embodiment that endings lead to beginnings. Perhaps behind this myth lies an older memory, drawn not from one river's flood, but from the trauma of seas that once swallowed entire lands. In Greece, the legend of Atlantis shaped the imagination of philosophers and poets. To Plato, it was a parable about pride and punishment. Yet in later centuries, it became more than allegory, transforming into the concept of a golden age lost beneath the waves. The vision of Atlantis inspired explorers, dreamers, and scholars for millennia. Even if the island itself never existed, the myth became a vessel carrying the possibility of forgotten worlds into the heart of Western thought. Across the ocean, in the far reaches of the Pacific, the Moai statues of Easter Island stand as silent witnesses. Most face inward, watching over their villages, but a few gaze toward the sea, as though waiting, as though watching for something. To many they seem like guardians staring into the horizon, as if expecting a homeland drowned long ago. The people of Rapa Nui tell of ancestors who came from across the waters, and the Moai may still hold that memory, etched in volcanic stone. In the jungles of Mexico, the Olmec carved colossal heads from basalt, each one distinct, each bearing features that continue to puzzle historians. Their expressions are solemn, their helmets mysterious, their presence monumental. Some see them as portraits of rulers, others as guardians of sacred places, yet their size and style suggest influences beyond what we expect of their time. They stand as puzzles in stone, reminders that human creativity may preserve fragments of older traditions, even when conscious memory fades. Even beneath the sea, hints of forgotten chapters emerge. Off the coast of India, in the Gulf of Khambat, sonar surveys have revealed structures deep underwater. Some argue they're natural formations. Others see patterns too regular to be accidental. Walls, streets, perhaps even foundations. If genuine, they would predate the great Indus Valley civilization by thousands of years, suggesting human settlement along coasts long since claimed by the sea. And in the hills of southeastern Turkey, the story continues. Excavations at Göbekli Tepe have uncovered not only carvings of animals, but enigmatic symbols that may represent the earliest steps toward writing. Nearby, at Karahan Tepe, newly opened chambers and pillars suggest the culture that built Göbekli Tepe was part of a larger network of sites, more complex and more ancient than we ever imagined. These discoveries remind us that civilization's origin may lie not only in farming, but in faith, in gathering to carve dreams into stone before turning to seed and soil. All these legacies, Egypt's myths, Greece's visions, the Moai and the Olmec, the drowned ruins of India, the carved stones of Turkey, speak not of a vanished world, but of an inheritance that survived in pieces. And yet, perhaps their greatest legacy is not stone, but memory itself. The sea holds more secrets than the land. Even now, divers off the coast of Japan explore the Yonaguni Monument, a massive structure submerged beneath the waves. Its sharp angles and terraced steps resemble a pyramid or sunken city. Yet some geologists insist it may be nothing more than a natural formation carved by currents and time. To others, it feels too precise, too deliberate, as if it's the last remnant of an age the ocean chose to hide. Whether nature's design or human creation, Yonaguni reminds us that the line between history and mystery is never as clear as we imagine. Conclusion: the eternal cycle. And so we're left with a larger question. What if the story of civilization isn't a straight line, but a cycle? What if humanity has reached its peak more than once, only to fall into silence, leaving scattered stones and whispered myths for the survivors to carry forward? The flood, the fire, the rising seas, all could be chapters in an eternal rhythm where growth and collapse follow each other like night follows day. It's a humbling thought. Our skyscrapers, our satellites, our digital archives may feel permanent. Yet the Earth teaches otherwise. Cities can sink, languages can be forgotten, knowledge can be lost in a single generation. Perhaps the myths of old aren't simply warnings from the past, but reflections of a truth that still applies to us now. And so we must wonder, when the waters rise again, what part of our world will vanish? And what will remain for the next civilization to find? Will they puzzle over fragments of our machines the way we puzzle over stone circles and broken tablets? Will they hear only echoes of our stories? Or will something of us endure, carried like a faint light into the future? The ocean is vast and the night is long. If this story brought you peace tonight, press like and subscribe to join us for the mysteries still to come. Share your thoughts in the comments and tell us where in the world you're listening from. Good night. May your dreams be gentle and your sleep deep.